I'm going to start this golf course meeting. Take roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Councilman Jesus Lopez Jr.,
Present.
Member Michael Calderon, Member Mike Perez,
Here.
Member Oscar Cardenas,
Present.
Member Ernesto Hernandez Jr.,
Present.
Member Clay Taylor,
Here.
Member Maxwell Wilson.
Here.
Councilman, you do have a quorum.
Okay. This time, we're going to go to the number 3. Go ahead,
Okay,
ma'am.
so 3A is Golf Superintendent's Update.
Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Commission. Today is January 25th, 2023, and we're going to be covering various topics. The first topic is the Golf Superintendent Update. To start off with, green number 4 and 7 will be opening for play on 1/23 of 2023. Tournament schedule for San Felipe Springs Golf Course has been established. New equipment has been ordered. This is the last purchase order that the council approved. The top dressing sand has been purchased and 48 tons, that's for the greens. Chemicals are being ordered for the golf course. Soil is also being ordered. Scheduled maintenance being scheduled for all new machines. New golf carts are now being used on the golf course. Bermuda grass seed is in the process of being ordered. Golf course plan of action to come out of dormancy. You know that after winter, the grass will start to come back. This is gonna happen right after Oscar's girls tournament, district tournament in April, early April. Our mistake last year is we started too early and then we got a freeze and that hurt us for 30 days. And we did that in the second week of March, and we had that freeze, and it stunned the grass and delayed us. So this year, we're gonna be a little bit further towards April. And this is when all the aerifying, the fertilization, top dressing, all the thatch removal, getting the course in great shape for the spring and summer, also the fall. Any questions on this?
What weeds do we got out there right now, Eddie, on the greens weed? I mean, do you have any poana and stuff out there right now?
No, sir, we've already sprayed for that. Basically, it was 3 weeks ago. And
Killed most
they
everything?
forgot to spray the temporary greens, which they did this week.
That's
But
pretty much
as far as the
everything.
greens, we don't have any of that on
Pretty much everything's killed.
it.
around.
Everything is clean and super dormant and super fast. Our target point for this coming year, of course, is to get those dry areas that we have on the greens. We're talking with our chemical experts. What was lacking in our soil samples was nitrogen, which we treated this past year. And that'll be upcoming again, treatment every 2 to 3 weeks. And it'll make the difference. As far as the dry areas that we have to work extremely hard to get them back up. What hurt us last year was we weren't able to remove the thatch because we didn't have the machine. We could not verticut. And so all those areas there on those corners, that's where the thatch was. And it did not let the new grass come up because you know how thatch is, it pulls it down and kills the grass underneath.
Yeah.
So we got a good plan of action. I really want to focus on the greens this year and get them up to 100%. We've talked with the crew and we're all, motivated to deliver for our customers. Any other questions? Superintendent update?
Yes, On the greens 4 and 7, where do you stand on that? You're saying you're reopening them, so how are they to you and the maintenance? It's good enough to reopen already?
Yes, sir.
right.
Visited with Oscar. He wants to have them open for his tournament. And his first tournament is the boys, and they will be open by that weekend.
Okay.
What we're gonna do is put the pin placement in the areas that have that full coverage. And of course, Oscar will make the rule on whatever else he wants to incorporate in for his tournaments. But we gotta start to get them open and get play on them, sir. We've been working with the T-mower to get them cut and rolled. The T-mower's at a different height than our regular greens mower. And of course, just like everything else, the roller that we have right now is not functioning correctly. We've ordered a new one, but it's not gonna be here on time. That's why we're using the T-mower to compress the current surface that we have, make it more suitable. But the grass that we have, we took a sample to see what we have, and the roots were down at least six inches in the current root system that we have. So we anticipate tremendous coverage once we get out of this weather and get into the spring session. But it's time for us to get on them and move forward.
So we're on them right now? We're playing them right now?
We're gonna start it on this date next,
What-
123.
What day are we on?
The 25th?
Today's 25th, Eddie.
We'll start on the 3rd,
Third.
my tournament.
Third of next
Oh,
month.
Oh, your tournament's going.
On Friday.
I said open for
On the
play,
tournament.
so.
Yeah, we've already started rolling them and working them and fertilizing them, putting nitrogen in them, just keeping them healthy.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. That was my mistake.
Another question on that tournament list you have. Is there just one tournament for the Queen City Bells, July 1st?
Yes.
Wasn't there going to be one in April, or it didn't happen?
No, they canceled that
Oh,
one.
all right.
So April's gonna be available, but Ernest is looking into putting a tournament in there. He hasn't committed yet,
All right.
okay? If you know of anybody who needs a tournament, let them know that we do have some available. And to please holler at me, we'll get the contract going and reserve the date. Any other
Question on the golf carts.
Yes, sir.
You all using the golf carts already, right? The new ones?
Yes, sir.
What, on the old ones, are they that bad of shape now, to start using the new ones? And they're going to take the old ones away or not?
They're gonna go back to where we leased them from, sir.
Okay, and when is that going to happen?
I don't have a definite date, but I received message that they're gonna come by and pick them up.
Okay, because it'd be good to keep using the old ones, and once they start going 10 or 5 or 6, and start taking out the new ones. But for them to have the old ones there and not bring out the new ones, I prefer to keep the new
Yeah,
ones.
The old ones are
I
shot.
think Luis,
shot?
They're
I
a piece
think-
of junk.
Yeah.
I think what happened was Luis has canceled the contract, sir.
Okay,
And if Luis canceled the contract, cannot use them anymore.
right, okay.
So remember, we're paying a fortune
Mhm.
to lease those golf carts.
Okay, so if you don't use them, you don't pay them.
That, I understood that he's cutting that off, sir.
Okay,
We made the last payment on that lease.
okay. But it'd be good if you find out a date to take them out of there so we can start protecting our new ones.
Yes, sir, I'll ask Luis on that, he's in charge of that, and I'll shoot you a message as far as when they're gonna put it.
Okay, make sure everybody gets,
Yes, sir.
same
I'll copy everybody.
email.
Okay? Any other questions?
The next,
The next item is 3B, discussion and possible recommendations regarding private tournaments.
Okay, that was my agenda item. I brought this up once before, and it just kind of faded away, so I think I'll bring it up today for the last time. First of all, a public tournament is all these tournaments listed on this document and up there on the screen. Those are public tournaments, meaning that All you gotta do is come pay your money and you can play. The private tournament is when we lease the club out to a private party and members cannot play, only those people invited by the private party. Unlike the swimming pools and the civic center, the golf course is basically funded by memberships. And in my opinion, we have an implied contract that the golf course is opened from Tuesday through Sunday. If they have a public tournament, fine. If you want to play, you can go play. Private tournament, you cannot. And I don't believe that's fair to the members, the 100 and something members we have that pay for that. If they want to have a private tournament, they can have it on Mondays. And to put that to bed, I'm going to make a motion that we cease renting the golf course. Oh, another thing, when they have those tournaments, they play from 8 to 12, and then it's closed the rest of the day. Because the opinion is that they pay for it, they get it, so it's closed the rest of the day. I made a motion that we stop all private tournaments as defined as a tournament that does not allow a member or someone in the public to play.
Open registration.
Huh?
Open registration on it. Play.
Pardon?
Like where you can openly play in it.
Open registration, he said.
Yeah. How do you
It
want to
doesn't
call
have
it?
open registration.
No second?
Oh, I'll second. I'll second.
Anybody else? All in favor? One,
Relax.
2, 3.
I don't like getting shut out.
Okay, 3. Okay, I'm gonna abstain my vote on this, based on, I'm still getting familiarized with y'all's tournaments, regulations, and policies, and what y'all wanna do, or how you're doing it, because I'm not familiarized with private or tournaments. So, for me to say if it's right or wrong, I'm gonna have to abstain on this one, on my vote, based on y'all's experiences on this. For right now, like I said, right now it's 3-2, I think it is. So
Can
motion.
you ask for a show of who's against?
Yeah, shows of against. You were for.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said show it again. You're against
Yeah.
having tournaments?
No.
Private.
He's trying to say
Private
no
tournaments.
private tournaments.
Not public tournaments.
Not public, private.
Well, because, like I said, with this whole vote, you say private tournaments. In every private tournament, we make money. He goes, but I understand you always want to play, but at the same time, they did pay to use that course, to reserve that course for the day. That's an automatic X amount of numbers, 1,200. Eddie can confirm that. Plus, however many players in the tournament. At the same time, every other tournament that we do play is not really open registration. It's to the organization that's doing it. Like the list he has here, you have Border Federal, San Felipe X's, coaches tournaments. If I wanted to play, it's a school tournament. You can't do that.
Well,
It's
school's
saying,
different. I'm not
so
talking
then, well, even one of the tournaments, San Felipe X's, Ram Boosters, Queen City Bells, if there's someone they don't want to sign up, it's easy for them to say no. So they're dictating it's not an open registration, I would say that. But to me, it's just the bottom line of, you don't want people to rent the course because you want to play. You want to have the course to yourself.
Because we pay to play.
So do I. He goes, but that's also money for the city.
It's $1,200. You make $1,200 on a busy Saturday. Why
Okay.
can't they play on Monday when it's closed? That's how the country club used to do it. You couldn't play on Saturday. And I'm not talking about the school coach. That's a whole different ballgame.
Or open it after the tournament.
Or open it after the tournament.
Okay, I'm trying
So
to,
let's say you have 20 next year.
I'm trying to
That's
understand
20
that.
days that I'm paying membership for that I can't play. And I don't know what you're talking about on this open registration. I've never been turned away from a charity tournament.
There's other people that have,
Well,
that's
maybe we
why.
should be out there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
How many private tournaments do you have a year?
we had 3 this year, right, Eddie? There's 3.
I had hunters from New Mexico,
And you had the fishermen,
and
and then the birthday party or whatever it was.
the marriage in December. 2 of them.
So you're only talking about two private,
Yes, sir. The contract right now, the way that it's written, is anybody can go and rent the golf course with a signed contract, and we charge them $1,200 for, it actually comes out to $30 per player. If they reach over this certain amount, then we charge all of them that are playing that $30 fee. I think it was 40, right, Esme? 40 players or less is $1,200. Anything over 40 is $30 a player. Normally on the big tournaments, we go exceed that amount, so they pay that extra fee. What it includes is the rental of the golf course on a private nature. Nobody from outside can go and play in the golf course because it's reserved. The golf course is reserved to that patron that is paying that fee. The current contract does not restrict anybody from renting the golf course.
What contract is that, Eddie?
The one in my
Tournament contract.
office that like when the San Felipe X's have their tournament, they have to sign the contract.
It's the
And this
tournament contract.
reserves that for that day.
As a point of order, what's the motion not passed? Wasn't it 3-2?
No, the motion's gonna pass, but again, I'm just asking the question of how many tournaments, how many private tournaments based on,
Well, you have a vote. Are you voting against or for?
no, I'm abstaining.
Abstain, so,
I'm abstaining because again, what y'all are talking about, I'm not familiarized. And I hate to vote on something I'm not familiarized and then either pass it or not pass it.
Did Mr. Oscar, did you vote? I didn't catch your vote.
Do you vote against?
I vote against.
Against. So it's 3-2.
So it's three, it's, right now, as the motion stands, it's 3-2, the motion passes. Okay, the motion passes, for what Mr.
Pettis.
Edward said as far as for the motion of having it on Mondays, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, mine on Monday.
But let me ask you a question also, sir. Like he says, it's only like from 8 to 12 they play, and the rest of the day nobody. Is that the time that they play? Is there a certain time limit, or they just play and
They
then
have
just leave
the
anytime they
course
want?
From the hours of operation, sir, which is right now 8 to 6.
So they can keep it, and if they finish any
If
earlier,
they play all day long till 6 o'clock, that's their option.
okay. But before 6, if they finish, let's say at 3 o'clock.
They're finished and they do a lot of other activities to wrap up the tournament, prizes,
Okay.
socialize, so on and so forth. So we ended up staying there till 6 o'clock,
All right.
till there.
The only reason I disagree, because the majority of these people that host the private, like the fishing tournament and the hunters,
Yeah, from New Mexico.
we have 2 private tournaments. The tournaments that are listed here are benefit tournaments. We raise money for scholarships. The Queen City Bells raise money for their scholarships and their travel wherever they go. St. Joseph raises money for scholarships that they give throughout the year. So does Knight of Columbus, and so does San Felipe X's. And Botofedo Credit Union does that money to raise money for high school seniors graduating. So these tournaments here, are we gonna say they're private, or they're just
I already said that, they're public because
public?
I can go play in any one of those. You know, you show up at the golf course to play on Saturday and it's a private tournament, you go home. If
Right.
it's the San Felipe or the Bells, they go, oh, we still got a couple openings. All you gotta do is
Right.
pay your money, you can play. And
I-
I expect that, and
Okay,
that's
I'm understanding.
okay.
I figure that if we wanna open it to the members, why don't we just have it, normally everybody finishes the tournament by 3 o'clock, and then they do the presentation afterwards, right?
Well, like you said, you're right.
So if there's open
Everyone
play
will do
after
Mondays.
3, we should let our members play after 3. That way, we won't have something to vote on against, for and against. That way, if there's a private tournament by 3 o'clock, if they're done, let the members play. So they have an opportunity to use their membership. Because most of the tournaments, they're done by 3 o'clock during the summertime. We don't have any during the wintertime. So I think if they're having a private or a benefit tournament, I think after 3 o'clock should be open to the members, so that way we won't be voting for or against or go into this disagreement about having private and benefit tournaments for the public. Because we only have 2 private tournaments, and that's the Hunters
You
and
had 3 this year.
Normally it's one.
one.
They had a birthday party.
What all do you
Now-
get
Oh,
for
yeah, they
1200
had-
though?
Now,
I mean,
Mr. Hicks is a member of our golf course. If he comes in, he's part of the New Mexico Hunters. If he comes in and say, Eddie, I want to rent the golf course.
Well, he doesn't have a problem with people playing after they're done either.
No, they didn't let anybody play.
But that wasn't them, that was.
So-
what do you get for 1,200, Eddie? You saying you get your golf for 1,200? I mean, you get golf cart, you get everything for the $1,200?
That's correct.
So when we have a regular tournament though, I don't know what we're paying for a regular tournament, but we're also charging for our carts, our rent carts, aren't
No,
we?
sir.
The rent carts come with the tournament?
Yes, sir.
I think that's another thing we ought to think about too then.
Well,
is
you
charging
can bring
for
it up
carts.
at a
Every other
different
tournament
time.
Charges for carts.
You can bring it up at a different time. It's not on the agenda. What's on the agenda is private tournament.
What's not on the agenda?
Probably renting private carts.
Oh, yeah.
Changing the contract on the golf course.
So at this time, because the motion's already passed, the
It's already
discussion
passed.
should actually cease.
Right.
What you can make a recommendation to bring back an item to figure out how we can address private events, such as bringing them back on a Monday, giving them a schedule,
Yeah, and also I'll bring you the contract so you can see it and revise it. And we have to get that approved.
Okay, so this discussion with
Yeah.
what you said, sir, do you want to bring it back, or do you want to make a vote on it now?
So the vote's already
Motion
taken
already-
place.
Those are in tape, okay then. Then the motion stands, it passes.
Right, correct.
Here,
Yes.
just another comment. How many players did Hicks have? Wasn't it like 12?
No, he had 24.
Okay, well, you know, on Mondays, I do tournaments, but they're just little groups.
Yeah,
As
I-
many
I-
as 30. We don't rent the golf course. We just get in line with everybody else.
I'm not disagreeing with anything. I'm just telling you that the contract, the current contract that we have is a contract that I am following based on what the city wants me to follow.
But at the end of this meeting, that contract is no longer valid for private tournaments, not benefit tournaments, private tournaments. And that definition is where only invitees can play.
That you have a point there, but the contract also has to state that no private tournaments will take place based on your recommendation.
Or you just say we don't do.
You understand?
We don't do
Customer-
private
A
tournaments.
customer calls me from San Antonio, I want to have a tournament in your golf course. I'm sorry, we don't do that.
Exactly. Unless it's open to the public.
We all already voted to
Yeah.
knock them out.
Municipal course.
Sounds good.
But nowhere does it, in that contract that I have, does it state that we don't do that. No private tournament.
Well, no private tournaments, we already voted on it.
It's done. But
There's
we
no
have
way
to-
we can go.
We have to revise the contract,
Revise the contract.
is what I'm trying to say, what I go by.
But that means that
With that one statement, there'll be no private tournament.
but that means that the contract is obsolete because they voted against and 2-4, so it doesn't matter if that contract's there. They just voted that it's gone, no private tournaments.
I understand that, sir, but I have a form that I follow.
Until you change that form.
Pardon me?
Until you change the format of that contract and that form, it would be to what we just motioned, but while it's still in
Yeah,
place.
that's what I'm trying to say.
We have to
Y'all need
revise
to
it,
revise
revise it, and say, take that portion in there.
But,
But while it's in there right now, he should still do it.
It's
well, you
easy.
can because we just voted
We
on it.
voted on it, but we still have to revise it.
So that means that contract's obsolete because we voted as a commission 3 against 2, so that contract doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they want to rent it or not. Private is gone. We just voted on it.
Not,
True or not true?
I'd have to look at the contract, but it sounds like there's no stipulation on the contract currently whether it's private or not
that's
private.
correct.
So we need to add a notation stating that
No
no
private
private.
tournaments.
So the
And then
the
Max-
contract is good as it is right now.
Max
Yeah.
has brought up some comment there also. His comment was, well, we gave them the whole course for $1,200. What about the golf carts? They don't have to pay anything for it. So, you know, that's his comment. I'm just repeating what he's saying.
And that
He
is,
might have a recommendation to revise the 1,200, maybe go up.
That's just the minimum of 1,200 in the tournament contract,
That's
when you have
correct.
40 or less players.
Right.
On a full field of 18 teams of 4 players each, 72 players, it comes out to exactly $2,160 that
Yes,
the
sir.
city makes every tournament.
Plus the refreshments and all that.
and for the current agreement, before y'all voted on there, it has that you will get 30 golf carts, correct? And
20 golf carts.
20 golf carts, sorry. So they do get, and that's part of the current agreement. So when it's brought back, then if there's any changes that y'all have. So what I can do is send that to you all tomorrow, and then that way you have time before the next meeting.
So we just
look at it.
voted right now that there's no private tournaments, even though there's a contract. That's what we voted on,
Luckily, I don't have any contracts out on private tournaments.
right? So right now, there's
Nothing signed.
no private tournaments.
No, and everything that's on the schedule here, all public, those still are in place.
They're all public,
Oh, oh,
open to the
Yes.
public.
Right.
No.
And just real quick, Monty, for a point of clarification, Mr. Pettis had said excluding the school.
The school.
And so, does that need to be part of the motion? Or does that need to just be in the agreement?
Well, in our contract with the school district, it stipulates we have 2 tournaments in district allowed throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if those are designated as private tournaments or,
Because it's only the students that play in that.
Yes.
Like, they wouldn't be able to, like, members wouldn't be able to
Well,
go and
It's
play.
not open to the
So,
public.
so that's why I was asking, because we already have that agreement with the school district.
Well, I can amend that motion if I don't have to vote again.
Our agreement with the
Except-
contract
except-
is that
Except for the schools.
we pay 2 tournaments, boys and girls, and district, and we have district throughout the year. Those are in a contract. But when we finish our tournaments, we open play, we let anybody play throughout the year. So once our tournament's done, the members can go out and play. I let them every time that we host our tournament.
That is true.
That is true.
But
So in our tournaments, I let them play.
To
Also,
clarify,
After
I don't
the-
understand, if I walk in there tomorrow and say, Eddie, I'd like to have a private tournament on Saturday. No, we don't allow them. What's the matter with the contract is? You're not gonna, don't give them a contract. They're not allowed.
Well,
That's
now
what we're
that-
voting on.
Now that y'all voted, they're not allowed.
Okay, so I don't understand why you have to change the contract.
Yeah, that's what we
Contract for
voted
the
on.
people who are having the tournament.
We voted on no private tournaments, that's what we voted on.
not even on Mondays, just none
I
whatsoever.
don't care if he doesn't, Monday they're closed, they can do whatever they want, right?
so the motion was amended to include the exception to school district tournaments. Mr. Wilson, did you want to keep that second? Okay, and then the vote still remains 3-2 with one abstain. Okay.
Good.
The next item is item C, discussion and possible recommendations regarding course marshal.
Yeah, that was mine too, but I didn't know there was gonna be on recommendation of the future golf shop, so you could probably combine that, because it has a lot to do with that too, unless you want to go separately.
As far as the golf marshals, have y'all had that in the past,
What's that?
golf marshals?
Yes. Not with the city though, I don't think. Yeah, we did. We had that girl.
Now, these volunteers, or these are paid more for marshals?
For a long time, it was volunteers, like Ernie's dad did a great job. They did have one of the employees do it. But you want to discuss this now? Yeah, I'll just go ahead and discuss it.
Well, we gotta go down the line in order,
Okay.
What is
so
it?
when we be
Course
going back
marshal.
and forth.
On, during the week, there's no problem there, you don't need anybody. Find that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday sometimes, it gets real busy, and what you end up with is, as a lot of guys know, you got sick sons, you got people that don't know what they're doing, and they're not really trying to cause an issue, they just don't know what to do. And if nothing else, on the days that they have 2 or 3 people in the pro shop, can't one of those be trained to just drive out, take a loop, and see what's going on? The other day, I had a group in front of me that drove through the rope to keep them off the fairway and cut the rope in half. And I went, of course, and challenged them, but that kind of thing, and they claim, well, we didn't know. Now, we have a lot of problems with, people playing with 5 people and 2 carts and 1 bag. And again, that ties into the golf pro shop because nobody sees it. Now, my recommendation was, if we could have a marshal, either, I'd like to see a volunteer that gave them free golf, somebody that knows. It only needs to be those 3 days. Or I don't even know about Sunday. We quit playing on Sundays because it just got so slow. Or have one of the girls there that have a little interest in it, move things on.
And would there be a way of identifying the fire marshal when they go out to the field?
Yeah, it'd be something you could put
Just
on
put a
the
little
car.
sign on the golf
Yeah.
cart.
Sign, or the other guy used to have a marshal's badge on the windshield.
True.
And, but again,
Free golf, didn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got to play
Yeah.
golf
Free golf.
free.
Yeah.
Some retired guy that,
Mhm.
I think it would make the experience a little better for a lot of people. Sometimes you go out there and when you've got a group and then the 6 holes behind them are all jammed up. Somebody should go ask them to pull over. And a lot of times they just don't know. That's all I had on that.
yeah, because I was there one day, and I was talking to Mr. Eddie and Oscar, and we were right there in front of the golf pro shop, I guess on Nighthole, right? And he was screaming, hey, I didn't understand what he was screaming about. Talking to the golfer up there and the gentleman and his son in the golf cart. Well, it came to the attention that they were on the green with the golf cart. So, like, they didn't know, they didn't care, or whatever. I mean, that comes to go with a golf marshal, right?
beginners that don't know
Yeah.
the rules.
So, I mean, it's good to protect the golf course, of course, and the greens and the conditions of it. But, again, I'm asking you all, if you already had this in the past, do you all have volunteers that are willing to do that? Or you all gonna do it yourselves, or you do recommendation of golf marshals, with even like the GoPro shop, the girls or the people that are working? The maintenance guys go out there and patrol or go help out? I mean, it's up to y'all who y'all gonna designate to be golf marshals. But then they also gotta understand the policies and the rules and the regulations.
What would it take to get a volunteer, somebody that wants to do it, and let them have free membership as their payment for doing it?
That'll be up to y'all's recommendation to see if we find a person that's gonna be there every day, that you're open all hours.
Yeah, but like
Just on the
today, there was
weekends.
probably
Yeah.
3 groups out there. They don't need marshaling on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for sure. Sometimes not other days, I mean, you gotta go look and see what it's like.
Again, I'm going by y'all's recommendations to see how y'all wanna approach this.
I would just say Saturday and Sunday. That's when,
Friday gets
People are
busy
off
too.
work.
Saturday and Sunday
You
is,
So only on weekends, not during the week?
yeah, you don't really need to do it.
Because during the week, you got people in the golf pro shop that can go maintenance, go and one and marshal around. The
Well, maintenance
weekends is
guys,
the only one?
They don't talk to anybody.
yes.
Kind of not their job, I don't
That'd be up to you, Mr. Eddie. I guess if they do this recommendation about a golf marshal, to say the days and those that are working at the golf course at the
We
time.
actually marshal in the afternoon, sir. I have a person in the afternoon scheduled from 3 to 6. And he's doing rounds of the course. I will definitely talk to the person that closes for me on the weekend, Robert, and instruct him to also do rounds of the golf course. And if somebody is playing slow, in golf, we have golf etiquette. The golf etiquette is very simple. If we got some beginners in front of us, all we have to do is approach the beginners group and let them know, hey, do you mind if we can play through you? 99% of the time, they're gonna say yes. If they say no, then basically that's when we need to call Robert And Robert needs to go over there. You guys are playing too slow, let these guys through.
Mhm.
So there's solutions without spending more money, to be honest with you, because we're on a very tight budget. Normally what happens is on the weekend, remember, we have only 9 holes. And everybody's entitled to go out and play their golf. Some play faster, some play, regular tees from the back. It takes more time to play. Some groups play from the senior tees and they play a lot faster and takes them less time to play the golf course. If they mess up a hole, they just pick up and 2 players end up playing that hole. So the speed of play is never consistent on a consistent basis. You could have a foursome, you could have a fivesome, you could have a threesome, you could have a twosome. So the time of play fluctuates in a 9-hole golf course. Not only that, is when they're making the turn, according to our golf course rules, the people making the turn have right of way to go to tee box number 10. So if we have a group waiting to tee off, and these guys are finishing up, making the turn, there could be conflicting areas because of the tee time, and when these guys, if they play faster than allowed on the 10-4 system, that's when we have the clash. And normally, what I like to do is I like to get out there with the clash and redirect. Because remember, we only have 9 holes. If there's an opportunity to move them to another hole, yes, we will. And they're more than grateful to do that. But we don't want to interrupt anybody's game.
Mhm.
So we try to do the best that we possibly can. Sometimes you're going to run into situations, and that's exactly what Mike's bringing up. It'd be nice to have a marshal so we could address that. And, one thing that we're really keeping a close eye on for is the golf carts and how they use them. Those are brand new. They sign a contract. They're liable for them. They start messing around with them. We go over there and tell them, look, you need to stop. Otherwise, we'll call the police and have them exit you out of here. We're not putting up with that anymore.
Mhm.
So I would love to have a marshal on the weekends. You follow me?
Mhm.
And that's gonna be my goal, to train Robert how to marshal. Because Robert does not play golf. Most of my workers don't play golf. They don't understand. So it's gonna be a challenge for me to train them and develop.
Mhm.
So let me work on that a little while, and then we'll come back and revisit this item on the agenda.
Okay. So we want to bring back this, he's going to work on the marshal. So we can bring back the next meeting and see what.
Just give me a
what-
little time
give-
to
give
train
more time to
Robert
work on it.
to be the
Okay.
marshal.
That's fine.
Okay, so we'll table that for the next meeting.
We can't offer memberships free, and
Okay.
Okay.
Next item.
Next item is D, golf cart shed update.
well, we got good news. In your packet, you have a time frame and some other information. The work order was placed on November the 1st. Board contract was 10/28. The PO issue date was 10/31. Signed and approved for $680,900 on 11/10. Funding sources, as you can see there, they've already got the funding available, and the ordinance was approved. The timeline of the sheds being completed will be the end of June. And that's that little line you have right here, this little one, right, with the
Mhm.
little lines on there. You can see up there on the screen.
It's kind of small for everybody to see it, so it's fine print.
Judge, it's very, this is what they send, the contract.
We got them, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that one there, it's kind of small on
It is small,
paper.
but that's
the,
why.
it's,
Do you
yes,
have
we
one?
got that.
The actual buildings are
Yeah.
being ordered.
Me neither.
The
Yeah.
PO has gone in to pay for the building. So we're in action, and you're gonna see the completion date on the end of June. And those will be brand-new sheds. Of course, in the previous meetings, I showed you the diagram of what they're gonna look like. They'll have the roll-up doors, really nice. And they're gonna last. There'll be 64 sheds that can be rented out. But we got the ball rolling now. Any questions on this?
But 30 of them are, half of them are what it's gonna be for our golf carts too.
Yes, sir. Basically, on one side of that building, they're long runs. On this side to the left, there'll be sheds. On the right of that building will be a long run for our 30 carts. All
Okay.
under the, it'll be really nice.
Okay.
They'll hold them all. We don't have to occupy any other sheds. And then
Any questions on the sheds?
in the future, I'm gonna bring up an item on the agenda that I have to present to you all an area that I would like to see improved, because we're gonna lose the big sheds that we have right now that holds my sprayers and my spreaders and all this John Deere equipment that we have, that's gonna have to go underneath a techo, a roof, to prevent the sun from beating on it, so.
Why are you losing the main?
Where are you having it right now?
We have them underneath the sheds, sir, double shed. So
Is
that's
it- is
gonna
that-
be in
is-
the future.
Is it attached to the old shed?
I'm gonna turn it
Yes,
off.
sir, the old shed.
I guess that wouldn't want to turn it down.
Based on the location of the new golf carts, is there possible there to make a
Yes.
portable shed for that?
Yes, sir. We'll have enough room in the fence area to have that area.
Okay.
In order to reduce the price, remember, we eliminated one row of sheds.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
that room is gonna be there, it's already gonna be paved, lighting, security, all that stuff. Everything's gonna be under a controlled environment,
Okay, sir.
okay?
Okay, next item is E, public restroom update.
The Tiffany Osborne, who represents the THC Texas government on historical sites, has requested us to submit documents for the project that you all see in front of you, which is the restroom project. The location, the plumbing, how far it's gonna go, so on and so forth. And that's what we're working on right now. The restrooms will be located on the side of hole number 3, where the current sewer line is and the nearest water line is. And of course, the historical commission, before we do any type of digging, has to prove it, because we're on a historical property. According to her, the existing golf course is very nearby, 41 VVV 4444. Unfortunately, the boundaries of that site are poorly defined. So this is the reason why she has to raise her hand and say, okay, what are y'all gonna do? How are you gonna do it? Where's the plumbing gonna go? All this data has to go into the website, which is the project review site. And then from there, then if we get approval, she'll let us know. So we're still in that phase right now. I've sent her all the maps, restroom design, our archaeological sites, as you can see in your packet, is towards the back of the property. We're not even near the area. So all of that information has been submitted, so we're waiting for,
So you're on hold up until you can get a response back from her.
yes, sir.
But the portable building's already there or ready to go. Well,
It's being ordered and produced at the production site of that company right here.
Mhm.
So we still have some time.
okay. Any questions from the
Yeah, it's
golf?
only gonna have one restroom, not a men and women?
Actually, it's a dual restroom. Anybody can use it, and then the snack bar next to it. It'll be handicap accessible. Pretty big. The design's in there so you can see it. Any other questions? It's gonna be real nice.
Next item is F, discussion and recommendations for future use of former golf pro shop.
There is a possibility that upstairs in our pro shop area and the multi-purpose center, there'll be a patron wanting to rent all of the upstairs property. Which, I don't know if there's a contract yet or not, Esme,
Not yet. It's
but there
still
might be in
moving.
the future.
Mhm.
If that happens, then
Next slide.
we will be forced to move to the old pro shop. In the old pro shop, basically it's pretty run down, needs to be worked on, completely done. It's not ADA compliant in the restrooms. There is no plumbing run into our drains of the city. It's an old septic tank. And in my discussion with my boss, asked me, a drawing was produced, I don't know how many years ago.
Several years ago, maybe about 4 to 5 years ago, for the old pro shop, it was a design, and it knocked down the back wall where the restrooms are, extended into the parking lot, made it ADA compliant, and there was also, was there anything with the patio? I'm not sure if there was like an enclosure or something on that, but I know for sure it was making the restrooms ADA compliant. And then
The old pro shop?
the old pro
Yeah,
shop.
the old
Mhm.
pro shop.
So there, right now, there's some crepe myrtles back there, so basically that whole back area is knocked out. And so there's not too much going up towards the top of the golf course, it extended more towards the back. And so it wasn't gonna take too much parking lot space, so, the concern was, not to take any additional parking away. It was just right there, so I think there's a water faucet, and then there's the crepe myrtle, so it's just extending just that back area. And that's enough space to get a wheelchair in there. And so then they also extended the restrooms where the ice machine is. So I'm not sure if y'all remember
Yeah.
where the ice machine was. So it was also making them wider and longer.
Well, that's,
It's-
because there's someone's gonna rent the pro shop we're at now?
There
No.
is,
Possibly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought maybe we ought to be in the old pro shop anyway.
I do,
Save-
yeah, I do
save
too.
money trying
I do
to
too.
run it.
Well, for word discussion, I went to that old pro shop, and I told Eddie, I just went there, you know, to the old pro shop with my son, we bought beer and we got whatever, but it was down there. And I said, well, you must have been here a year or 2 years ago because we moved up there. Well, you know, it must have been that long. And it was pretty fair and decent, you know, maintained. But I visited, and I'll tell you, man, I don't know why they let it go down that bad. Even though any city entities, it's vacant, they should not let it go run down that bad, you know,
Nobody's in there.
and conditions, you know, kind of prepared for this situation. Like if we have to move back, at least we got it in compliance. You know, we can move back at any time instead of now we have to do something to move back. You know, always have everything ready all the time regardless, especially the city buildings, you know. I would like to see that pro shop renovated,
Sure.
made better, and move them back, because, again, if there is a restaurant or country club opening back up or whatever, naturally, they're going to be in the middle of it. But I do agree, because they're visually, they can see who's going, also like the
Yeah,
golf
it's a
marks,
better
see who's going
location.
down first and who's teeing off, and also kind of register them or whatever, y'all have a badges or whatever, say, okay, he's here,
Yeah.
he's here. But I find it convenient because you can buy your beer, and then if they do it up there, I'm still saying, well, I'll be the one, give me a margarita, I'll put in my beer can, you know?
agree.
So we gotta separate that bar from our alcohol situation, of course. But I still feel it's a good place where it was originally. We just have to renovate it and make it better and acceptable, and to standards of, what is, you know, golf pro shop and standards of restrooms and everything. But it's up to y'all where we're gonna get money to fund it, or how you're gonna fund it, and what design. You know, as far as taking off the wood, or putting tile or whatever. You know, who's gonna be engineering it, who's gonna architect it, you know, it's up to y'all to decide as far
Gotta
as.
get the city involved.
Get the city involved and see where we can give you money, and they get money for that project. And, because if the city's gonna give somebody that option up there to do a country club, restaurant, bar, well, naturally, y'all
Yeah,
have to.
they'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right,
Is that, so if someone private's gonna be doing it?
yes, sir.
Yes,
Does the golf course see any money out of that or not?
No,
the rent.
it's just
Well,
rent money,
The
the rent for the use
Yes.
of the facility, the way it was in the past.
City property, yeah.
But it shouldn't interfere with the golf pro shops, to me, as far as what money we're making now, as far as beer, water, cokes, clubs, whatever y'all have sell there in the golf pro shop. Because it's just totally different. Up there's just a country club, just come and eat, mingle with people and whatever. You know, it's not to say that from there they're gonna go play golf. This is totally different, because I used to go up there and eat lunch or dinner, and just because it was a country club, and when the food is good. It's just like another restaurant, that's all it is. But anyway, like I said, I just make recommendations just to see what we can do as far as bringing it back to, you know, good use.
Do y'all want to vote on something to get this thing in action?
Well, I just want to know, is this plan was in effect 4 years ago that there were,
There is, just citywide, the assistant city manager at that time was looking at all our buildings and what could we do to make sure that everything is ADA compliant. And so, you know, the restrooms right now are kind of small. So the good thing is, you know, we are using the upstairs area, which, you know, is ADA compliant. But at that time, you know, just looking at different facilities, so the Paul Polk Theater was renovated after that. So if you go to the Paul Polk Theater, you know, the renovation looks really nice. And so at that time, you know, Lino put that in for his projects so then it could get funded. So this one, there was a transition in the golf superintendents, and then I can't recall if that was brought to the commission or not. But there was plans that were made by a previous city, let's see, who was it? was he an architect? It was somebody through Public Works that had those plans. So currently, the Assistant Public Works Director is looking to see if they have a copy of those plans, because there was a copy of paper plans that were given to the golf superintendent at that time. So Eddie hasn't been able to find those. I don't have a copy because there was only one copy that was printed. So in their computer, they should have a copy of that. And so if that's something that this commission would like to do, then you can make a recommendation, so then Eddie, when he goes into his budget workshops, he can go prepared, this is something that the commission would like to do this next year, or, when you want to do it, because we plan out projects for the next couple of years. Depending on the amount, then it would have to go to council for approval. And then that would go with the whole package when they're voting on the budget. And so,
So, so if they were doing public improvement plans, was that already approved, or they had a plan, or it didn't even go through the council?
it didn't even go through the council. It was just staff identifying areas for improvement.
So that was Public Works that did the plans to do improvement in some different areas?
Yes.
You know how it got approved? By going upstairs.
Okay.
Because
Moving
the
roads
move,
upstairs.
the commission had recommended to move upstairs, and so then
For
that
ADA
project
compliance.
didn't go any further.
So is someone actually looking at going in here though, or we just talking about if someone wants
Well,
to come along and want to use it?
That's what I'm figuring out, because if
Yes.
they have plans, and if this company goes into the pro shop, we're gonna be left out.
Yeah, we're gonna-
So we need to progress in making this recommendation and make these plans to get started, because if we do rent that thing within a year, where we're gonna be left out.
And
Well-
the old
Yes.
pro shop,
I mean, what happens if we renovate this down here and no one moves in? Are we just gonna keep the pro shop up here and have a?
No, we're gonna go back down.
We're gonna have we will move back down?
We'll boom back down.
So
Yes.
we don't need to renovate a break room now?
I would recommend definitely staying downstairs.
Well, I like that better. I mean, you can watch the course better than.
Yeah, I think it's a
That is
better
correct.
Between 1 and 10, I mean, between 9 and 10 coming over. I mean,
That's
it's better
correct.
being in that. in
And you
that
can
course
see
shop.
the congestion, what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what we're looking for here, we're looking for to go ahead and do something with this.
Well, yes, I'm gonna make a recommendation, but I wanna know if those plans are still if there are
Existing.
plans
Existing.
in effect that they have that area to architect already, that they planned the restrooms.
So that's what, they're looking for, the actual plans. If they cannot locate those plans, then we're gonna have to have somebody.
Another
create-
architect can
Mhm.
go back and do that.
Yes, because it was done internally, and so they should have access to those files. And
So I make a recommendation to look for the files and get started with that.
Yes, sir. Also, based at, like I said, I visit like on a Monday, and I found that the golf pro shop was closed, or the golf course was closed. And actually, the high school kids were there doing a little, but whatever on 9, right? And then one of the kids said, "Sir," he said, "Well, I know who you are now, but we like it here. Can you all give us a locker down here, or some something to hold our golf clubs for the school?" And I figure, well, I mean, if there's room in the golf pro shop, to make something for the school, like a
Yeah,
a storage for their golf clubs,
yeah.
I mean, I would recommend, because I mean, they had a contract year round. They're not going away.
In the public restrooms on our side, on the men's side, and the women's side, there's lockers in the restroom.
Yeah, there's lockers in there now.
They should
They
get.
got-
They'll have to be rented out by.
I know,
a
I'm just saying,
restaurant.
there won't be room in the other pro shop.
The restaurant's gonna be using the other restrooms, which is the big restrooms on their side. So,
Yes, well, like I said, I don't know the odds and ends of what's going on with buildings and the golf course itself, but when there's something of an idea of certain people, not just us as a committee or golfers, but even kids that love to do what they're doing and to help out the school, or, anything that we have by contract, especially the school, of course. But it's up to y'all to decide if y'all would like to also have a storage for the school, for their golf clubs, instead of kids try to bring them and parents bringing them, and, at least they have a place to go all the time to store their stuff. But nobody goes in there until, of course,
Maybe they'll do something in the cart shed area for that.
That's a
Put it
possibility.
in one of the cart sheds.
What happens when you have
Yeah.
multiple
The racquetball.
multiple individuals
Or the gym.
in a multiple space there, the kids are immature, sir. So they play jokes on each other. They pull clubs out of their bag and go hide them and then, hey, where are my clubs? So there's really no privacy, so if we look at that, it has to be on an individual basis. Because I don't want to be responsible for anything that's missing out of their personal areas.
Well, would you have cage lockers? Before they can, golf clubs can put in their own
It
locks?
could be possible in the design as we design the old pro shop.
What's in the old workout room where we used to have the machines?
There's nothing in there, sir.
You could put them in
Coach,
there.
wouldn't you
you could
just-
put 'em-
Don't you have some lockers at the school you could put in there?
If y'all want to do that.
I would, but it's
They're
just.
not using it.
All you have to do is make a
We
recommendation.
discussed the other day that it was a good place to have a fitness center for people to go in there and work out after they play. But
Who's that?
Well, I was there and
We were
he was
just
coming
talking-
out, they were just telling me ideas. 'Cause
Ideas.
Well, it was supposed to be a fitness center, but that was the first start of the screw up of the golf course.
That's a pretty ideal room for the high school.
Yeah.
Building that building was the first.
Well, if you all make recommendations for Mr. Eddie to start working on the renovation of the golf
Yeah.
pro shop and work,
Oscar-
and
Oscar's
also,
already
You
done
want to
that.
add anything to his motion?
No,
What
I'll
was your
second it.
motion, Oscar?
I made a motion
The
What
final
was it?
plans.
to go future to fix the restrooms on the old pro shop, renovate it to get back over there.
Okay. Did you get that, Marty?
Yeah, that's not how I got it the
Do I
first
have a
time.
second?
The-
What did I say?
The recommendation was to move forward with the renovation of the old pro shop and look for the files. And then Councilman Lopez's was to consider including lockers for school athletes.
so there's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We got a second by Mr. Wood.
Wilson.
I still got to know their names. I'm sorry.
Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
Put up top.
So all agreement? All right. The aye passes.
The next item is G, golf financial report.
Well, I have one more comment on this thing. The motion's fine. If, why could we not move down there sooner than later, waiting for all this renovation, close the restrooms? Because you have restrooms up top, and it becomes a starter shed, basically. That's one of the girls down there to take the money and all that. And like we've been saying, it would take care of like 90% of our problems that we have at the course. You know, clean it up, the air conditioner works right, the ice machine's still down there.
No,
There's
we
no
have
fire
to switch it
sprinkler.
Well, we
out.
can move it.
Yeah.
But I think the sooner we get in there, the better. Yeah, of course, we want to get all things built up. Is that a possibility?
When you go to renovate it, you have to move back out of it, I mean.
Yeah.
Now
Some-
you can work with one of the walls knocked down, Mike, and it's probably better just to let them have it.
Yeah, but this thing could take years.
Marty, can,
Well,
can
the
they
thing
add
is-
that to F as a, because it's discussion and recommendations for future use of former golf pro shop. So even though one passed, but this is still along those lines, can they do a second motion?
Yes, they
Really?
can.
Okay.
Mhm.
So then if you want to make that motion,
But is that building even up to fire code right now? Last time I checked, it has no fire sprinklers in there. So even if we wanted to move in there tomorrow, legally, we can't.
Well, we will.
Well, it's not big enough to
We will,
heat
but
up.
Oh,
it
okay.
requires time.
It's gotta be so many feet.
It requires time, sir.
Oh, okay.
It needs so many
You
feet
know
to
the
require that.
processes that we go through, we have to go through each process. There's a change of address for our liquor license. I
That
don't know
takes a
how
couple
long
months.
that'll take.
That's the same address, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
a different address.
Different address.
When we move from
Each
down there
building
to
is a
up there,
different
it's
address.
So it's just a suggestion. It doesn't go anywhere.
But, Mr. Bettis, if that's something that you want Eddie to explore so he can get started on that,
Yeah, I think.
then we would just need a recommendation for the commission.
Right, it's just a recommendation, so it's really no actions needed. He can look into it and then come back and give us a
Come back to
status.
what he finds, what y'all recommend.
Could we make a motion before we move on to give or not give, but allow the high school to have that weight room if you want it, coach. And then if he wants to put in his lockers or chains or whatever, he can. But I think we should use that space.
Well, if nothing else, coach, you put everyone's clubs in there and lock it and let them all in there to get their clubs out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
get
well,
the
but it's-
lockers in.
But he would be the one responsible, open. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna let the golf pro shop employees or maintenance open it, because some get there earlier than others.
I'm always there before then.
Okay, well, then you would be responsible for opening and closing
That,
it.
that building falls under the multi-purpose center.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
So
so
that
that
would
would-
have to go through ESME.
Okay, Esme.
So yes, I would get with Lino, and then I'm not sure if that's something that we'd have to take to the council. So I'll ask Mr. Tavis, my supervisor, which is also Lino's supervisor.
Okay.
We're trying to get those kids a place to put their stuff since
Mhm.
my kid was in high school. You know, they really do need it, so they can leave their stuff there. And I'm sure Coach can come up with lockers somewhere in the school district, or they might even pay for them.
Well, wide enough and tall enough to put in bags, shoes, and whatever
Yeah,
caps.
yeah.
You know, whatever they use. So it'd be good for you.
It would be good.
Okay. So then we make a motion to provide,
Explore it.
explore the possibility of allowing the school district to use the weight room for storage and lockers for kids, for the students.
I second it.
So there's a motion for that. There's a second. Well, who motions?
Pettis was the one.
Mr. Pettis motions? Okay. And
But
a
I
second.
seconded it.
All in favor? All right. Okay, motion passes. Next one.
Okay, item G is golf financial report.
Okay. Let's see, we start with November. In November, total green fees were $4,687. Total course fees was $1,948. Total product sales, $3,446. We did have one tournament, which is at $1,200. Membership payments of $14,137. And total revenue of $25,419. As you can see, the membership account receivable balance, so we have a balance of $53,383 for the month of November. Any questions on November?
Any questions, gentlemen?
Okay, December revenue report. Green fee sales, we had $4,973. Total course fees of $1,405. Total product sales, $3,455. Knights of Columbus tournament fee, $1,200. Membership payments, $12,597. Total revenue for that month was $23,632. And the outstanding accounts receivable balance was $55,381. Questions on that?
So where did we lose $2,000 last of November? Because we got 25 in November, you got
The
23.
weather in December was not favorable, sir. Anytime you get really bad weather, like this past week, when the wind picked up and we got the rain, we had 2 groups on the golf course all day long.
Okay.
So weather has a lot to do with that, but you make it up during the spring and summer and fall.
It was pretty good for the month of November, December.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good.
You know, And not only that, is some people are financially stripped right now with inflation. So we're really cautious on what we're doing. Remember this year in my budget, we cut back our budget to reduce expenditures. You know, and we're gonna make it, you follow me? One way or the other, we're gonna make it.
That's
But
good.
it's a very cautious approach, you know. On the weekends, we're getting good play, but during the week, very minimal.
Okay.
There's competition also, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Competition. Laughlin Air Force Base. They reverted back to letting citizens go play on their golf course with the proper credentials to go into their facility. They are charging $135 a month, and that includes cart. We charge $100 a month, but you have to pay for your cart when you come. So there's a difference, maybe about $20 per month.
That's a big difference, Eddie, on that. But, being, I mean, if you were an avid golfer, you played a lot, I mean, you're talking spending $10, $15 every day you want to
Yeah.
play the rent-a-car, there's a big difference on that number.
Yes, sir.
Now, I will say, their green fees aren't cheaper. Their green
No,
fees.
they went
are
up
more
on their green
expensive.
fees.
They're 25 Tuesdays and Thursdays and 35.
Yeah,
The rest
no,
of
the
it.
green fees are higher, but the
Yeah.
membership, the way it works out, having a card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big difference in the number there.
Definitely so. I'm just bringing that up as a vision of competitive wise, what's going on in our area. I don't think it's gonna stop us, but we need to be cautious because more and more people are getting wind of that. Civilians were restricted to go on the base.
Mm-hmm.
So it all depends on who the commander is. If the commander opens the gate, they can go on. Commander closes the gate, they cannot go on.
Mm-hmm.
So at our facility, they can come play whenever they want.
Right.
So we have it at our advantage. Okay,
Okay, is there a motion to accept the golf financial report?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr.
Who was the second, I'm sorry?
Sergeant and Mr. Markey. All in favor? All right.
Okay. The next item is H, discussion and possible recommendations regarding Golf Commission charter, ordinance, and members.
Jasmine, you wanna cover this one?
Yes. So the commission had asked about the different ordinances and resolutions that started this commission, and then the terms. So on the very last page, we have the terms, and I know some discussion was had that during the pandemic and the beginning of the commission, some members felt that a lot of things didn't get done, and so some of the commissioners didn't get to fulfill really some of the duties. So we have two commissioners that their terms have expired. We haven't replaced them, and so this item is to see, you know, would you guys like to change the terms and we can present that to city council, or would you like to vote to replace those two members? And the expirations are highlighted in yellow on your last page.
Okay, based on the time of the pandemics, okay, I know, like you said, sometimes y'all didn't have no meetings. What I'd like to know is, did y'all have Zoom meetings at the time?
Yes.
Now, prior to having your last face-to-face meetings like today, when you started the Zoom meetings, did y'all have it after the first month of the pandemic, or did you wait after a few months before y'all got everything organized?
We waited like 4 months after the pandemic.
You waited 4 months before y'all started
Yeah,
the
it
Zoom
was
meeting?
quite a while.
After the pandemic of,
It must
there
have been
was-
6 months.
And there was a time that the golf course was completely closed,
Yeah,
and
for a
so
month.
were some of the parks. And that was the height of the pandemic here in Del Rio. There was a high percentage, And we had the local health authority, Dr. Gutierrez and Dr. Palau. Those were some recommendations that they had made. And so it did affect, people using the golf course. And then they started having soft openings where there had to be social distancing. And so those are just some things that I know different people had brought up. And so that's why this item is placed before you guys, so then you guys can decide how you would like to proceed, with that. And so if you look at the,
Extend you for a year. Just extend you for a year.
so here it has the commission members' initial terms on section 7-602. Each member shall serve for two terms of 4 years. And that's what's currently in place.
So right now, we have two gentlemen, Michael and Mike, that have already been here 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Based on y'all's bylaws and the policies that y'all have in place, I'll still recommend to extend it at least to the time of the duration of non-meetings. If it's 6 months, or extend it to a year, however y'all think, or what months. And then after that, go ahead and put it up for replacement committee members, because you have to go by your bylaws and you got to go by your ordinances and quotes. And I'm not saying that it's not fair for y'all not to keep serving, but there is a section here, and like I said, but if I feel that if y'all have not been meeting because of the COVID, you want to extend the term for 6 months of that time, or a year. I'm going to leave it up to y'all's recommendations right now to find out, because, again, what I understood, if somebody does not come here three meetings, you automatically replace. Okay? And me being on this committee, I feel it's important for one time a month, make an effort to be here, unless it's a medical or training or you cannot be here, but let Esme or Ochoa know, because for me to make a decision on any of this stuff, and then I come back and I find out that I don't like that decision, well, you were not here.
Yeah.
There's a quorum, that's no choice, we're gonna have to vote on it. But I feel that when one person commits to a committee, no matter what committee, he has that obligation that he wants to serve and make betterment of any committee that he's getting involved in. So to me, it's very important that we have all members, all committee members of any committee, especially this one that I'm involved in, to have them present. Now, right now, I don't know, what do you know of Mr. Calderon, why he did not come? Nobody
He's
knows
been working in
anything why
Eagle-
he was not here?
He's
Working out of
he's been
town a lot.
working in Eagle Pass, sir, so
Yeah, he may be working.
I don't have an answer for it.
The last meeting he had mentioned that he was working out of town and did not finish in time to make it to the meeting. I didn't get to talk to him today.
So
I don't
that
know.
would fall based on the time and date that we can have these meetings to accommodate everybody. If he can't come on Wednesdays, when is his time off, and when does he come in early? We need to find out everybody's timeline as far as accessible and acceptable to y'all, to where you can come. Because, like I said, these are very important points that we all are putting out, and recommendations and suggestions. And I like to see the golf course improve. I liked it when it was back then when Mr. Spanky had it, Mr. Best. It was great. They had good managers, good superintendent, and the golf course had everything going for it. And within the years of changing of superintendents, and pandemics and money and everything, it's been going down slowly. So I would like to see it go back up based on younger generations, and I see a lot more people myself. I've been seeing golfers, a lot more golfers than I've seen before. I don't know how many golfers go, but when there's a crowd out there with golf carts ready to tee off, I'm like, well, I guess everybody likes to golf now. So I know our golf course is small, and maybe we can make it bigger in the future. But for right now, we just got to improve what we have, and to make it better, and then make expansion for improvements. We can accommodate the school. We'll accommodate the school if we have the room and the capability of doing it. Now, okay, well, let's go ahead and make a motion on this, if y'all want to extend it 6 months or a year to the existing members of expiration due to the fact of COVID. So
I make a motion to extend it a year.
is there a second?
Right.
All in favor? Motion passes.
I just have one question. So you're, because it had the term expired 1/26/2022?
Yes, of the time of expiration date of next year, it'd be 1/26 of '24.
So extending 1 year from today, not a year from
Well,
the
okay.
term?
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Your term was expired last year, not this year. So it's already been a year of expiration on this term, okay? So,
Or is it, Monty, can they say a year from today?
We can, I also wanted to clarify for Councilman Lopez that we don't get a lot of people who apply to the Golf Commission. And one of the things was that the two individuals that are expired have been a good asset, great asset to the commission. The issue right now is that they cannot reapply because there is a term limit.
right.
One of the things you may consider is removing term limits, and at the time of their expiration, they're allowed to reapply. And if there's other members, they can be considered in the same pool, and it'd be up to the commission to vote on who will be seated at the end of each term.
Mhm.
So you can make a motion to remove term limits and allowing the commissioners to continue reapplying as their terms expire.
Mhm.
That's a consideration that you can.
Okay,
That's a good idea.
so that'd be better, I think, gentlemen. The term limits would be eliminated, but again, the applications would be accepted after, they say, like you said, 2, 3 years, 4 years. Okay, your term limit is done, but you can still reapply. Now, if there's other applicants, then you don't get chosen, so that's a possibility that's going to happen, even though your term limit is not done of 8 or 5, but there's no term limits, and those that want to apply and stay on the commission will be fine. But I think still, if you do not come to these meetings based on 3, I think y'all have here,
3 consecutive.
3 consecutive regular meetings, and you're going to be terminated or eliminated from the committee. So that to me will still stand. But as far as term limits, if you all want to eliminate the term limits and just have you every 4 years reapply.
Yeah.
Is there any policy in any commission, like we had COVID, to exception of the term limits? And
This is the first one that's come up.
so we're the first ones that brought up that COVID hit us for a year and we didn't meet. We Zoomed probably just twice throughout the year
Right.
because the course was closed. So there's no exception on extending a year?
We had not that had not been brought up in any other commission as of yet.
Who do we have to recommend it to?
Well, I mean, this is, there was a motion right now to extend it. The situation, though,
One more year.
You said,
Right.
he said that, he made a motion,
Mhm.
but you came back and said you can't because it has term limits.
no,
Make another motion.
the situation was that the term, so we were extending it for a year. The two members that are expired, they expired last year, so they've actually already gone a year. So we'd be extending their term limit yet another year.
What is the term limit right now?
It's 2 terms of 4
terms.
years.
So according to this, I think the math is wrong, because 2016 plus 8 is 2024. So it doesn't look like they are expired.
So when you go back and look at the original, so the original terms, you can only serve, it was kind of like a draw, how many years the first terms were. So the first terms, there were a few of you that had 2-year terms, and then the other ones had 4-year terms, because what they want to do is not everybody terminates at the same time. So it was the luck of the draw. Some of you got to stay for 8 years, and some of your terms were 6 years. So that's the situation we were with
Calderon
these
and
two.
Perez.
Yes.
So when they signed contracts, eventually the first time, that was a 2-year term limit.
Right.
And then when they reapply, the new term limit, the
Was
golf commission approved for 4
Right.
years from then on.
Right. And if we were to allow, for example, Mr. Pettis to reapply, he would be doing 2 terms of 4 years plus the 2-year term. So it's a little complicated, but I
Right,
think
so
the
it'd
way.
still be 8 years.
Yeah,
But based on the
Right.
first, it was 2, not 4.
Right.
And
And I
then they
think this-
redid it for 4.
correct.
So now we extend it. He would be here for the 8 years of 2
Mhm.
terms.
Right.
But if we eliminate the term limit,
It would give him the
it would give him
opportunity to
an option to reapply
reapply.
again for
Right.
another 4 years.
Yes, and that's where they
Without
were
term
stuck. They
limits.
couldn't, they weren't allowed to reapply, even though their intention was to continue serving.
Whatever.
In this instance, you can reapply after 8 years, no matter.
Mhm.
You can apply it as long as you want to apply and be in the committee. You can apply it as many times as you want. No term limits of 2 terms.
Okay.
Well, when you signed up, sir, well, according to what you're saying, you said the first one was 2 years. It wasn't 4. So that's why it's 6 years on your side. But now, from now on, it's 4 years from every committee member now. But if we eliminate the term limits, then you can apply every 4 years and not be saying you already said you already did your 6 years or 8 years. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be, is there a motion here to eliminate term limits
So before we move forward.
but extend?
Can we ask if Commissioner Clay would rescind his previous motion so that we can,
Okay, let's, do you want to rescind
I
it?
make a motion that we rescind the term limits.
well, we're sending the motion you made earlier.
The one who made the first,
Okay,
the
so-
motion is to extend.
So the new motion would be to remove the term limits? Okay, and Oscar, would you like to second that? Okay, and now you can take the vote.
But, okay.
Now- Before we go, we're eliminating term limits. So why do we have to apply after 4 years if we're eliminating term limits?
Because we do need to let the other community members the opportunity to serve on commissions. So it would not be fair to just allowing you to continue your,
Well, it doesn't make no sense, because if he's reapplying after 4 years, we're voting on it. Is he eliminated from the vote? If we don't have a total count to vote on it, and he's excluded because he can't vote for it, and we don't have 2 members to show, so it doesn't make sense.
it would be up to the commission to
No.
make sure to be
We would
present.
vote for him or whoever else applies.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that he would be, this would
He
make
would be
the
excluded
motion.
from the vote.
He'll be excluded from the vote, but it'd be like, if somebody else applies, and you all decide, well, he's already did his term limit of 4 years.
Yeah.
There's no term limit, but he can apply, but we want somebody else, or somebody else who want to apply, and if we don't choose him, you pick up the other person.
To answer
Well,
your-
the term limit says 4 years, so automatically, term doesn't mean anything because you got 4 years still.
Well, just like the presidency is a 4-year term, but the presidency has term
Oscar,
limits, but Congress
Oscar,
doesn't.
the initial ordinance is in play right now. You all are gonna vote to change that ordinance. And the ordinance can only be changed by council. So nothing's concrete. You all are gonna make a recommendation at golf commission, and then it has to go before council for approval.
Yes, I know that.
Okay?
But the thing is, we're making recommendations to eliminate terms, so we gotta eliminate 2 terms, we're just gonna say 4 years.
Well, you're saying
Right,
terms.
so the
From
terms
here
are
on
4
out.
years, and after 4 years, you can reapply. But right now, you're only allowed to reapply twice, and then after that, you can no
Right.
longer serve on this commission.
So what you're saying, Oscar, is that the recommendation needs to be that you can serve as many terms as you want, but after every 4 years, there has to be an
Reapply.
election after every 4
Exactly.
years.
Right.
That's what we're
That
saying.
needs to be added into that there has to be an
Has to
election
be.
every 4 years, but you can be reelected for as many terms. as you
Exactly.
want.
Right.
And that's currently what the process is.
Right.
But we gotta put it in writing.
It,
She's going.
We're not
Yeah.
doing that, you're just saying
No.
we're gonna eliminate terms.
right, but you do have an expiration, so your term expires at
4
a certain,
years.
and at that
But
time,
don't say
Just
term,
like
4
Congress,
years.
there's no term limit.
Yeah.
well, okay, yeah.
Yes,
So-
correct, right?
Whenever the 4 years is up.
Right now is terms, but you cannot use terms, you gotta say, we're gonna eliminate after 4 years, we cannot use term because we're eliminated.
Each term is 4 years.
Each term, there's just no term limits on how many terms you can.
Yes, so we cannot put terms in there, period, so we're gonna say, you can be
Every
a
4
council
years
for
apply.
4 years only, and then reapply after 4 years.
But that 4-year is a term,
Mhm.
so that it is a term, the time frame,
You're just
Okay.
removing the limits.
right?
We're just
There's
limiting
no
limits.
term
We're
limits.
limiting the limits. You only limit twice right now. 4-year terms, twice. You eliminated that. You can still apply every 4 years like the way you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's still, initially it has to be called terms. Because every 4 years is a term.
Every 4 years, you gotta.
So you're not
reapply.
saying 2 terms now, you're just saying 4 years.
It's still saying 4 years, but it's still a 4-year application, reapplication.
So that means you're not gonna be there 8 years, you're only gonna be there 4 years
4 years and reapply,
and reapply.
right.
Every 4 years reapply.
So we're just eliminating, just 4 years, 4 years. Every 4 years, you're gonna have to apply.
Mhm.
Is that what y'all want?
That's how it is right now.
That's how it is right now.
No, but you serve 2 terms of 4 years. You got 8 years.
No,
Yeah, but you're limited.
you're
to two
limited,
terms.
so at the time, his original term was 2 because that's when the charter
Right.
initiated. So at 2 years, he reapplied. So he reapplied and he was seated again for 4 more years. Now his term ended in 2022, and he was not allowed to reapply.
Did you reapply your second term?
No.
No, see?
Okay.
There was no
So
apply.
he should have, and.
None of us did.
And we know that we've
You did?
we've gone through several superintendents, so
Aren't you
we did,
reapplied?
I was
we
kicked
weren't
out
doing
because
following the.
I was in the hospital for a month, so I couldn't physically be here.
So,
I had to reapply.
See the conflict there is?
yes, and that was because, like I said, because we had past turnover,
Right.
it wasn't being processed correctly. So
Mhm.
the process should be that you reapply. So we would.
So I see Oscar's point of rewording it in the ordinance. In other words, every 4 years, reapply to the committee with no term limits. You know what I mean?
That is correct.
So that'd be better
like
worded
Congress.
because
Yeah.
every 4 years sounds correct. Term is saying, well, you can only go 2 terms. Well, there's no terms.
Right.
There's every 4 years to reapply for the committee,
Okay.
period.
We will word that
Committee member.
appropriate.
And leave the word term out because there's no term now.
There's no
It's
term.
only every 4 years, unless you want to go 3 years, 2 years, because you prefer to have new committee members at the time, or make sure that it's feasible they can serve. Because if they cannot serve after 3 consecutive missing of these meetings, then they're been terminated. And then we have to hire another, put it out there for another committee member.
You understand what we're saying? So we have 2 term limits that we serve, so that's 8 years. Now we're saying if we eliminate the terms, you're only gonna serve for 4 years and then you gotta reapply
But the reapply will go to anybody that wants to serve in the
to
committee.
serve.
Really, you were
Yes, sir.
supposed to reapply all to begin
Correct.
with.
Yes.
It's just you were only allowed to serve 2 terms.
Twice.
Right.
Now we're just taking how many terms you can serve off. You still got to reapply.
Yeah, you gotta reapply after 4 years.
After 4 years, you guys have to reapply again.
So before, you didn't have to apply after 4 years because you were in a term limit, so you added another 4 years.
We vote on any new members anyway.
Yeah.
So right now,
She knows
how many absences do you know of that these committee members have?
Before we go to that, can we take a vote on the
Okay.
current motion?
All right.
Which is what?
The
So-
current motion is to remove the term limits.
Oh.
So there's a motion to remove the term limits. Is there, do I have a
Oh, yeah.
first and a second? All in favor? Aye, okay, the motion passes. Okay, my question is, we're still gonna leave here the absence, section 7-612 vacancies, where if any commissioner member is absent for more than 3 consecutive regular monthly meetings, I guess you should be vacated and removed otherwise to appoint and confirm or fill the vacancy. So I think that one should stand. You know,
Yeah, that's
'cause-
fine.
so, I mean, it's like I'm telling y'all have to make an effort to be here. It's only once a month, and if you cannot be here, let Mr. Ochoa know, Esme or, somebody. And, I'm not telling you to make an excuse, and nobody knows exactly what's gonna happen to you the next day. We don't know y'all's precinct's futures or anybody's. But it'd be nice to know that you cannot be here, that we make an understanding of the reason that you're not gonna be here. Not just like today, Mr. Mr. Calderon is not here, and nobody knows nothing of him, and, so that's already twice, right, or once, right, or once or twice?
Twice.
Technically twice. I mean, the other one was work-related, so, it's up to the commission. If there's a third consecutive, then, if you look at section 7-612 vacancy, a vacancy arises if a commission member is absent from 3 consecutive regular meetings, and then B, if for any reason the office of any member of the commission shall have been vacated by removal or otherwise, the appointment of and confirmation to fill such vacancy shall be made by the city council for the unexpired term of the vacated office. So if the commission votes to remove someone, then that has to go to the city council, because the city council votes on your appointments, finalizes the recommendations that the commission makes, and so then the removal would also have to go to the council. So if there's a third absence, it can be brought to the commission, this is a reason, or the commission member can state what happened.
Could you add the word excused? Like if somebody calls you and says, I can't make it, why, it's what happened to Ernie. I didn't know he was sick. I'm the one that made the motion to bounce him. And I didn't know he was sick.
I was fighting
Then
for
you
my
look at
life
the-
in San Antonio.
Look at the hassle it was to get him back, because we didn't have anybody else anyway.
So I guess for the first line, a vacancy arises if the commission member is, has 3 consecutive unexcused absence? Is that, okay.
But we didn't know before.
Probably unexcused is better than not, it'd be better than just not showing up for a reason like you in the hospital and right now Mr. Calderon's out of town, so we can go with 3 excuses instead of not being here for the meetings,
I
because
say if you call and say, I can't make it because I'm out of town, doesn't count as a 3.
So you
No.
mean unexcused?
it'd be
Unexcused.
The unexcused like today, nobody knows nothing, so that'd be unexcused. But yeah, if there's a reason that can be excused and we accept it, but how many excuses are you gonna accept? Because one can make it a habit and say, I can be excused and still be there,
I think maybe you guys should decide what is considered excused and maybe a timeline, and then maybe put something in there, a stipulation, does not apply to emergencies, because like you mentioned, you just don't know. I mean, you could have a flat tire on the way over here, or something happen, and you physically cannot get here, or let's say your flight is delayed, or something just out of the ordinary. So I think maybe if you guys define, this is considered an excused absence.
Well, go ahead and make some recommendations on the definitions of excuses, of, I guess, humanity reasons, other than work-related maybe, but, just come up with some kind of recommendations and then represent it back to us and see what they think of these excuses, acceptable to not put them into the 3 unexcused absences. Because, and if y'all have any kind of recommendation wording or excuses acceptable that say it's inexcusable, maybe you're having your child got sick, or you're at a funeral, you're out of town on a funeral, or, anything like that. Because one thing is you personally, another thing is family, so it's 2 differences. Or you being sick and your family member, and you're in the hospital, or you're out of town. So we got to make sure that when these excuses that are excusable are specified in a sense of everyday life, not just because you got sick, you went out and you got sick, or you got hurt, or you just didn't want to come. But y'all have recommendations, give it to Esme, to what's also excusable for y'all, because I make my efforts myself to be in any committee and be here if I can. And I know I I got a relative that passed away this week, and I still don't know the funeral days. If it would have fallen today, I wouldn't have been here today. So, you know, if funerals are excusable, excusables. You know, that's one thing. But y'all have to help me out in this committee to find out what is excusable and non-excusable as well. Okay, and send it to her, email it, and if she already has it, well, fine. And then you that's one thing that you feel personally you are kind of not be able to make it sometime. Work-related is acceptable, I guess. It's up to y'all.
So what I have right now, just based on y'all's conversation, excused absence, funeral, I added jury duty, illness, medical, family, emergency, work, unexcused, no call, no show.
Probably no comment show would be more unexcusable than anything else.
Yes, so I had that under unexcused, no call, no show.
Yeah, there's no comment show, everything else applies.
That's not actually what I meant. I think we're all adults. I'm too old to be calling in sick. I meant that if you can't make it, you just call.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't make it. It doesn't happen very much.
Right.
People don't miss the very few meetings. And then is there anybody to take our place if we kick somebody off? You have a waiting list right now?
There had been some people that had applied.
Pardon?
There had been some people that applied when Mr. Wilson had applied.
So right now, gentlemen, as far as Mr. Marco Calderon, are you all gonna recommend him right now to,
So unfortunately, that's not an agenda item.
No.
So we can't discuss him.
oh, okay. Excuse me then. Okay, well then, what's the next item here then? Well, we're talking about the charter and commission charters and expiration dates and absentees, don't they go with that as far as,
No, because that's a
City ordinance.
specific
okay.
action.
Okay, so I want to recommend for the next meeting, we bring this up as far as that particular charter or that particular ordinance, because I know it's difficult, but it is a commitment. And I'll leave it all to y'all, see what y'all decided on this particular ordinance, the vacancies. If you just bring it up next time. Okay? Okay, so in saying that, we have established the next meeting. What are the next, is there any questions on this? Any more questions?
I'll add two things onto the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. Go ahead.
I want to add on there the possibility of renting our carts out of our tournaments, not coming with the tournament there. We can rent our carts out. I don't know any other tournament that doesn't rent their carts out. And then also, when if we get to use the marshal, the pace of play for the marshal is going to be our most important deal for leaving anything on the course. I mean, we've never done pace of play on our course. Well, we got people that go out there and play a 3-hour 9, you know, like pace of play.
That's not really the deal. You know, if you look at our rules that are supposed to be attached to the application, I think, and if it's a general rule of thumb in golf, if there's an open hole in front of you and somebody's waiting behind you, etiquette is you let that move through. I
Well,
believe
that or you make the one in front of you, keep pace of play.
But I think we have a pace of play rule in there, and I think it's 4 hours and 20 minutes. That sound right, Eddie?
I haven't seen it, Mike, so
I'll
I
find
can't
it. I saw it
answer.
just the other day.
Well, that's fine, 4 hours, 20 minutes. I was saying, you get out there sometimes, though, you got a 3-hour front 9. That makes for a 6-hour total.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
why they should be, if there's an open hole, they need to let their people through.
Well, I agree that the pace of play is something to be concerned about, but there are golfers that shoot 120, 130, and
And
just
that's
because
fine.
they're,
That's fine, but
as long as they let other groups go through.
let a couple
Okay.
of groups through and open it up. You shouldn't have 4 holes ahead of you
I
and
get you. I
10
get you.
people behind you.
I get you.
Well, that could happen because you got beginners playing golf now.
No, I understand, but
I know, but the letting the groups through, that's where you run into the problem, Mike, is if you got a full course, and you move over and let one through, well, then you just gotta move over and let another one. That's why
Yeah, they
keep
won't
pace
be
of
if
able
play.
there's no
play
open hole in
all
front of you, they can't let you through. They don't have an open hole.
No, I know, well, there's an open hole in front of you, but there's 4 people behind you, you're just gonna move over that all 4 through. Which is why- That's why I say pace of play is used at most every course, and they tell you, they'll come out there, they say, hey, you're running 5 minutes behind, you gotta pick it up, or pick up, go to the next hole. I mean, I think pace of play is the best way to go.
It's there in the application, as a copy
It
of
is
the
on there,
application.
right?
Yeah, it's the very first one. Says pace of play, players should play without delay. If a group loses more than one clear hole on the players in front, it should invite the group following to pass.
It is there, but nobody does it.
That's where the marshal comes in and enforces.
Enforces it, because it's already in
Okay.
black and white.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So the next meeting would be,
When's our next meeting?
February 22nd?
Yeah.
That's the fourth Wednesday of the month. And I just wanted a clarification. The meetings were at 5:15 at one time, they got moved to 5. What time do you guys want your meeting, 5 or 5:15?
I like five.
Five, too.
Okay.
Is that just a template thing that you can change?
Yes.
I think it would be
Look,
okay.
time's
Oscar,
already set.
does Oscar also be here by 5?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Can he be here by 5 as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, he has to.
He
Okay.
tries, he tries.
Okay, can I discuss something with them after or right now?
if it's not on the agenda, you cannot discuss it.
It's on the agenda as far as the golf course yet.
So if you want to go back to an agenda item, you can,
Okay, I want to go back a little bit, just a few minutes, gentlemen, not much. I guess to the golf
is it item D?
item D. Okay, on the sheds, gentlemen, okay, that's going to happen. That's not the issue that I'm having. But my understanding is they're going to demolish the old shacks, right? Take them out, eliminate them. I did a tour with Mr. Eddie and Oscar, and I went to on the internet looking for something, and then I found a mini golf course. It just showed up on me. It's called NBC. I thought I was looking for NBC Suites, but they said NBC Golf Course, miniature golf. And I would like to recommend, ask y'all just look and think about it. When we clean out that area where the old golf course is, that's a good little space there to have a miniature golf for kids or even to start something. You know, because I understand that we used to have a miniature golf years ago down over there in Gibbs Street. It was very little, but I like took my kids and they like playing. So if there's a way that we can make a miniature golf course, you know, in that section of the sheds, it doesn't have to be very big, just enough for kids to start, and you know, take families and they make them play and leave their kids playing golf there with their parents or whatever. Would y'all consider that?
Well, we were going to extend the driving range
Right.
because they're hitting people on number 8 hole with a tee box. He could tell you, he got hit. And that had been the plan all along, was just moving it back to add that extra 60, 70, 100 yards, so we'll quit hitting people.
Well, in that instance, won't you think like the golf courses that are now, they have those high nets, would that be something that they can do?
Too, but,
Because they're going all over the place, not just there. I mean, if you keep them in one
Are
area
you
like.
talking a miniature golf like with the windmills and the clowns?
Yeah.
But I mean, go online, gentlemen, look at NBC miniature golf courses, and they got sand dunes, they got everything, palm trees, they got everything, just like a regular golf course. But I emailed them to see if they remodel them, or this is a private company, or it's a private golf thing that they just created. You know, I think that would be fine to have something like that there at the golf course. Because if we're going to open the country club, you know, and then we move the golf pro shop, and then up there they can play basketball again maybe, and then have that miniature golf for the kids. Maybe a starting point, because I know my grandson, he's 9 years old, and he's playing golf. He's up there with my son playing golf, and he likes it, and he's getting better. But if you have a starting point for miniature golf where they enjoy it, then they can probably progress and going better when they get to high school.
Putt-putt.
You know, the putt-putt or something.
Yeah.
That's just that's my idea of maybe doing a small improvement there when we knock down those sheds, to have it there closer to where it's accessible to where our country club's going to be or whatever, and parking lot closer to where the parents would be, you know, picking them up or dropping them off. So just an idea. It's not to say that it's set in stone or we're gonna do it. It's just something to y'all think about because Del Rio does not have that. You know, we don't have no more miniature golfs anywhere where kids can go and just have fun.
So the one over there on the back street, on the skate rink, or whatever it used to be. That-
Oh, the skating rink, oh,
They closed down. or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, they closed that one. I mean,
It was only
as you can see, the area, they don't need a very big areas for them to just go play.
It's around the building in the back and on the side.
Yeah.
But in this instance, you have multiple, you know, sections where they can just go play and have fun. Naturally, the city will run it because maybe somebody from the golf pro shop can be up there and manage it and keep an eye on it. But then if you want to make a service charge, $2, $5 for a kid or whatever, you know, maybe we can still make some little revenue there. You know, unless it's free to the members' families, it's up to there. But I'm pretty sure the public would like to go up there and start playing that.
I think, yeah, that's like you say, it's an idea, but we also, the range, extending the range
I
was
don't
the
think
main
that-
concern.
I don't think the golf course is the right place to do it.
Yeah.
The miniature golf.
Put it in a park.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I was just, you know, I'm just suggesting, I'm not saying it's because it's there and it's in the same area, you know, and as far as their golf range, I would like to see like golf ranges are in San Antonio and other cities that they have
Yeah,
that
that's, we got a
fencing
lot of.
them. So you
stuff
want
that we
to
need
hit
do at
somebody
golf
like you are
course
hitting now.
Before we start adding more stuff is my thought.
Right.
I would agree.
And that hitting the
Get our
people
stuff
coming
in
over,
order.
that's a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna kill somebody one day.
Well, the nets should be with,
Yeah, but the
most
net's,
anywhere you go.
it's
they're gonna have
expensive,
that.
and maintenance on it. And you know, the thing, for you,
30,
big
40,000.
bomber, the range isn't big enough.
Yeah.
You're hitting them over there on the Elks Club roof.
Well, okay, John, well, that's only a thought.
Suggestion, yeah.
It's not it's nothing that would, you know, would like to do. It's just a thought to see if y'all consider something like that in that area. Basically, that it's gonna be demolished and clear area. But if y'all already had a plan to extend the golf range, even that may not be far enough to, you know, for the distance that some are getting better at.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad place to put a green either, an actual button green out there.
Well, if not, like somebody said, move the golf range to the back. We ain't going, there's nothing back there. You know,
Talking
redo
about
it.
behind
No,
the
then you'd
board.
be hitting over their heads.
No, well, to the empty lot in the very back.
The other land
extension.
that we have,
Yeah,
you're talking about behind number 4. then.
yeah, all
Or the
that
archery
excess,
range is that,
they'll be hitting that way instead of anybody towards the golf course. But I mean, that's up to y'all. I mean, I'm just listening and hearing people talking and some of y'all's members or whoever, and just making opinions. So all this is base opinions. It's not, nothing to say it's something that we can consider or not. These are all base opinions. And yeah, being the committee, y'all just think about something like that to better the golf course for family and anybody else. Okay? Okay, with that there, yeah, do I have a motion to adjourn?
When's the next meeting?
22nd.
22nd of February,
February 22nd.
February 22nd, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second, third?
All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.
Oh, I do like this.
First, let's go set up camp.